A new study highlights the impact of drinking on younger brains, saying that early drinking can be associated with a decline in gray matter and a lack of growth in white matter. To break all that down, because I'm not sure I know what it means, our 9 News medical expert, Dr. Payal Kohli, is here to explain some of the findings. So what is it about people younger than 21, the drinking age, right, that makes their brain so susceptible to these things?
It's really fascinating. I mean, if you think about a 21-year-old, they're generally done developing vertically, right? They've grown as tall as they're going to go. But the bulk, the body size, is a lot less than it is for a much older adult, like in their 30s and 40s. You're talking about how much volume the alcohol is distributing into. It's actually a lot smaller. And that on top of the fact that our brains actually continue to develop until we're 25 years old. We used to think they stop in our teens, but they go until 25. So that developing brain is really susceptible to injury, which is what happens when you drink alcohol.
And I know you even tell us, adults of drinking age and beyond, that we need to, definitely be careful about our alcohol intake. So what do you have to say, right, as a physician when it comes to this, culture of drinking for teenagers?
It really worries me, Alex, honestly. And in Europe, I mean, the drinking age is 18, and here it's 21. And I think neither, honestly, is really quite acceptable, because you actually get physical changes, as you just said, in the brain structure itself when you drink. A developing brain exposed to injury will be smaller, will have less sort of computational power. You're more likely to get, learning disorders or memory problems. You're more likely to have issues on cognitive testing. So if you actually look at people that drink in their 20s, and then it takes about 10-20 years to manifest itself because we compensate really well in our 20s, give them a cognitive test, that alcohol can actually impair their ability to think. So you're talking about physical effects, psychological effects, even emotional effects of alcohol.
Yeah, so let's talk about those mental effects. I feel like that's why, as an adult, I drink less now, because I don't like the hangover, I don't like the way it feels, but I also feel bad about myself the next day. I feel like I have anxiety, mentally it's not good.
In that adolescent population, or even in your 20s, you are much more prone, in fact, to have many of the mental health effects, the anxiety, as you pointed out, increased risk of suicidality, increased risk of lack of impulse control. So people who drink actually are more likely to, be aggressive on the road, more likely to gamble, more likely to have unprotected intercourse, do all the things that we don't want our young people to be doing, because it changes the part of the brain that's involved in controlling your impulses. And it's a bit of a feed-forward cycle, because alcohol disinhibits you. It actually makes you less likely to have that impulse control, and then you continue to do those types of behaviors. So from a mental health perspective, it sort of starts people down a journey of struggling with mental health the earlier in life that they drink. And in fact, it can even start them on a journey towards addiction.
Well, and that was the next thing I was going to ask you. So is that more of an increased risk when you're younger and you start up, those habits young?
Very much so. And we're not even just talking about alcohol addiction. We're talking about addiction to other substances and addiction to other types of bad behaviors, because what the science is showing us is that the genes that are involved in addiction actually get turned on, and they're much more sensitive in our 20s than they are later in life.
Interesting.
So this whole concept of, we're letting our kids have freedom and experiment with alcohol when they're teenagers, most physicians are saying, no, the longer you can delay somebody having that first sip of alcohol, the less likely you are that they'll ever participate in an addictive behavior.
No, I hope everybody's listening, because I feel like we all had that one friend who had the mom who's like, oh, as long as it's happening in my roof, I don't care, have a glass of wine. And that is dangerous.
That's really what we're getting away from. Giving them that freedom is not a good idea. It's a really susceptible brain. You're injuring it, you're harming them for life. So the more you can delay it, the better off.
Yep. Important stuff. Dr. Kohli, thank you, as always.